everybody, my name is Will. Welcome back to Flyout Community Creations. Today we have 5 more designs to show you and the news that Stone is not dead and the game may get updated again at some point in the future. But without any further ado, let's jump right into the creations, starting here with the Unzorn Mup, which is a World War I biplane, as you can... hang on. Monoplane. There's only one wing, unless you're counting the connecting struts as wings, but I feel like that might not quite be the spirit of things. This is designed by Dogeman in my Discord server, although he's got the Messier82 server tag on, so traitor. That is a joke, let me just clarify. And this is transparent. Or translucent, as you can see. There is a bit of an interesting story about this, which I had to Google because I didn't quite believe it. But apparently, it's at least somewhat true. Maybe it's not, so someone in the comments will probably tell me, but I will grace you with more information once we're in the air. Right, here we are on the runway, and as you can see, well, or as you can't see, the skin on this aircraft is, yeah, slightly transparent, which is a bit of an odd sight, but regardless, let's not think about that right now, and we have a really strong tailwind. I think for the sake of this thing, I'm just gonna get rid of the... that's the wrong one. I'm just gonna get rid of the wind speed, because this one might be a little bit difficult to take off. Okay, here we go. We're giving it all of the throttle in the world, which is to say, not a huge amount. It is a World War I era aircraft. They weren't known for their particularly high power, and it is quite a good looking plane, if I do say so myself. Even if it is translucent, it is quite... I think it looks good, for especially for a World War I aircraft. These did have a bit of a tendency to look more like cabbage crates than aircraft, so come on, are you going to do it? No? Okay. They did say you might need a headwind to take off, so it's looking like that might be the case. Okay, headwind has been applied. Hopefully now we can get up into the air. We got quite a strong one, 40 kilometers coming the other way, so fingers crossed we can just get up off the ground a little sooner. Come on. No, don't go off that side. I need you to stay going in the correct direction, please. Oh, they weren't kidding. They really weren't kidding when they... tip stall, please. I'm making a meal of this. Up. Go up, you little bugger. Come on. Oh, no, we've lost a bit of the wing. Okay, we're going to try flying with mouse aim. That might help. And because obviously we don't have a wheel to control our direction. We're just relying on the rudder, which is applying quite a lot of roll to the aircraft, and it is very much not happy. Please take off. Okay. Whew, there we go. Let me just get this in a stable flight regime, and then we can have a chat. Oh, wow, this really wanted to kill me. Okay, so the story behind this is that this was actually attempted by the Germans in the First World War under the guise of making stealth aircraft. Very, very early stealth aircraft, which really went with the old Mark I eyeball approach of being stealthy, which is to say, if you have a bunch of thin wooden beams as the only thing you can see from the ground, it's actually quite hard to see an aircraft just from the canopy and the engine cowling. And it did kind of work when it came to people on the ground looking up. However, it apparently came with some rather large downsides. Those being that if you were in the air, as you can see, the glare off this stuff is really quite bad. And it would be even smoother in real life because it's basically, from what I've read, it's basically film. And yeah, it's quite reflective, which made it extremely visible from the sky, so it didn't work at all. And it had the added downside of being extremely flammable, which isn't ideal for the skin of an aircraft, to be entirely honest. So it didn't work. And that is why you don't really hear about stealth aircraft in the First World War. But regardless, we have one here for you, and it's now that it's in the air, it's flying quite nicely. As you can see here, we have 3 bombs connected to a string that our Jimmy here can pull, and There you go. 3 little bombs. I don't know where they've gone. I've lost them. Presumably they'll hit the ground at some point, but they weren't hugely big, so I can't imagine their terminal velocity is crazy. Well, we might never know. To be fair, level bombing from 500 meters in the air in a World War I biplane with no scope for it would probably go about that well in real life. And then first person, we have some kind of an interior, as much of an interior as you could really expect for a World War I aircraft. We seem to have some kind of dongle. It looks like the machine gun port on an AC-1 tank. Got our rudder pedals, flight stick, oxygen tank. Oxygen tank? In a World War I biplane? Really? But it's not a biplane. Why do I keep saying biplane? It only has 1 wing. Well, 2 wings. You know what I mean. And we got these 2 machine guns up front, which... Ooh. That was a weirdly muffled noise from the cockpit, but yep, they are very much... Oh, did I just overheat them? Or have I run out of ammo? Yep, I overheated them. Wow, they really cannot take a lot of punishment, those guns. It's not the most agile thing in the world, probably because the top speed is about 218 kilometers an hour, which isn't quick. Oh dear, I might have killed Jimmy here. Please, please. Oh gosh, it's got a lot of a lot of authority going on with the elevator, but not a lot of lift. I should probably get rid of this headwind now. There we go. That's a little bit better. We also have this aiming stick here where we can, you know, shove our eyeball and just have a look. See if we're going to hit the enemy or not. It's probably roughly where your guns are going to end up. I also appreciate the attention to detail with these guns in that the little belt is actually feeding into the drum magazine, which I can't say I see particularly often, so that's nice. But we're not going to be shooting anything down in this, so I'm going to bring it in for a landing, hopefully, and we'll see if we can make it. I have been warned that the brakes are quite aggressive on the ground, and as we all know, I'm fantastically good at being gentle with the brakes, so this will go just flawlessly, I'm sure. Okay, a long time later, and we are almost back to the runway to try and land this thing. It's not hugely rapid. I think for a World War I aircraft, it is actually pretty quick, but it's still quite slow. Right, here we go. I'm going to try my very hardest to do a good job on this landing. I can't be bullied for my landings forever. Here we go. Nice and steady, nice and steady. Don't let it stall out. We don't have any wind to help us here. So we're just going to have to bring her really gently down onto the wheels. No brakes to begin with. Let's just drop the throttle down. Let her slow down just from natural friction. Oh, God. Oh, God. I'm not touching the controls. I'm not doing anything here. This is just what it wants to do. Please. Okay. Well, we lost part of the wing. Could have been worse. Also, by the way, the engine cowling opens up, so you can see the nice little bit of exhaust work that's been done with this one. Thank you very much for this design. Moving very swiftly on to the next design today. Next up, we have the F9A Skypiercer, which is a rather fancy looking World War II era aircraft. Definitely late World War II. You can kind of get the sense that this has to be built with some later war methods, given how skinny it is. A lot of earlier aircraft were quite a lot chunkier than this. We got Lieutenant Jimmy Hawk Jimmy as our pilot here, so you know I'd trust Jimmy Hawk Jimmy any day of the week. This has some pretty impressive performance characteristics and was designed by the ever funny Fart, somebody who's featured a worrying amount of times on this show, given that their username is Fart. Anyway, now you've had a nice look at it, let's get it into the air, shall we? There is a lot to show on this one, so I might miss a couple of things here and there, but we're going to start with this. So with Y, we can open up the engine bay, and as you can see, there is a fully modeled inverted V12 engine inside of this thing, which is pretty impressive, if I do have to say so myself. You can see there's like an actual... I'm going to say oil system, but I might just embarrass myself. Oil and fuel looking things. And obviously inverted Vs are very... They're very German or Italian. They're very Daimler-Benz engines. So it kind of almost gives that feeling from the very, very front. But then towards the back, feels a little bit more American or Russian. I want to say Russian, but it's quite unique, to be fair, in the way that it's shaped. And definitely either late war or early Cold War. The engine has stalled out, which I am a little bit concerned about the chances of me getting it started again. If we press U, we can open up our canopy. Just it's fairly normal bubble-style canopy on this thing. We have internal lights and lots of... Oh. Jimmy's got a picture of him and his wife, who also looks soulless and kind of creepy. Moving on from that one... You can see how much attention to detail has been put on into the interior here. And supposedly... all of these gauges work as they're meant to. So if we do this, well, okay, that's our internal light. It's not quite enough to give you a brilliantly bright view of the inside, but you can see what's going on well enough. We have lights with L. I'm assuming that's just external lights. Yeah, wingtip lights and navigation lights, stuff like that. H and N, they do our radiator controls. There we go, on the wings, which kind of feels like the BV-155 in a way. I can't imagine that does anything in Flyout other than look cool, so I don't think it matters where we have those. And then we got some rockets on the wings and a pretty hefty armament of 220mm and a 30mm, which I believe has somewhere a shell counter, which I'm struggling to see. Ah, there they are. And they are very rapidly running out of ammo because, well, yeah, you don't actually typically have a lot of ammo when it comes to cannons and aircraft, especially from World War II. So, to be fair, those 20mm are firing for a pretty long time. And we are now all out, and I have rolled back off the runway. Okay, fair enough. I was going to spawn a new one in anyway, so I guess this just forces the matter. Okay, we have some pretty detailed instructions on how to take this thing off, so apparently all I need to do is set the trim levels to what I have there, and just control it to make sure that it stays on the center line, and then when we hit 190 to 200, tilt up. Whoa! I tilted up too much. Okay, let me try that one again. Okay, here we go. Take two. I stalled the wings last time. I need to be a little bit more gentle with it, clearly. So we wait until we get to about our takeoff range. Give her a little bit, and there we go. We can put the gear in, and we've got a very nice custom gear animation with some landing lights on those gears, which look pretty cool. And I like that one side is slightly slower than the other. You see that in a lot of like real aircraft for whatever reason. There's probably a good reason for it. I don't know it. I'm not an engineer. Well, unless you count software as engineering, which I think some people do, but yeah, that's fine. I've just discovered that the lights get brighter on the inside. I just read it again, and you can press K 3 times to reach maximum brightness. I thought you just held it, but no. There is actually, like, 3... Oh, that is really cool. Okay, there you go. Now we can see a little bit better. We've got some pretty good range on this thing. I'm going to drop this fuel tank, because honestly, even without it, that's a really impressive amount of fuel on the inside of this thing. An hour and a half almost is very good endurance for a single-seater fighter like this. Running at full chap, that is. Not if you're at cruise speed, but damn, that's good. Also, while it's fast, it doesn't feel ridiculously fast. It doesn't feel like they've just slapped in, 3,000, 4,000 horsepower and called it a day. Because sometimes, I'm guilty of this. Sometimes when you build a World War II fighter, you're like, I want it to go quicker, but I don't know how to engineer it right. I'm just going to give it more horsepower. And you get the speed you want, but it just doesn't quite feel right. But this gets the feel down, so that's nice to see. It's also fairly agile on the turn here. I mean, it's no zero, but it's probably turning about how I would expect, I want to say like a Spitfire. Maybe it's a little under what the Spitfire can do. It's got some pretty good agility, presumably by virtue of having such very, very long wings. These are going to be incredibly high wing loading. Is that the right terminology? Maybe, I don't know. And this is quite impressive. We have a gyroscopic gun sight that actually works, which you don't see every day. Look at all of those dials go. My goodness, that is... Oh, attention to detail that makes my eyes water. This must have taken a seriously long time. Oh, man. Okay, as fast as this is for a World War II aircraft, I don't think we're going to be able to catch and shoot down a target drone with this thing, so could really use some slower target drones for some of these World War II designs, because I would like to do a little bit more with them, but at the moment, unfortunately, I think we're basically just going to have to look at this and appreciate it. It's very cool. It's very cool, and this camo is quite dashing as well. It looks a little bit like... I think it's a camo I associate with the I-185, the later one, and the LA-7, probably because of War Thunder, to be entirely honest. The kind of like grey two-tone camouflages that some of the Soviet aircraft get, if I'm not going completely insane. But obviously, as far as I know, these are made-up roundels for a fictional country. So this is not a real aircraft. I think that's pretty clear. Let's bring it in for landing before I make a fool of myself even more. Oh, this thing dives like crazy. I mean, we're almost breaking 600 with the engine off. That's the kind of speeds that these wings would just fall off at, I have a feeling, because these do not look like they would be well, they're pretty thick. Maybe they'd be stronger than I'm expecting, but they look like a BF-109 wing. And if I know anything about the BF-109's wings, it's that they really like to lock up and fall off. Well, taken from, once again, my War Thunder experience, but it's fine. We're going to bring it in for landing. We have some landing instructions as well. Whether or not I can actually follow them with my brain focusing both on the instructions and flying, we will have to wait and see. Alright, let's get these flaps out. There we go. We are now flying fairly stably. Let's bring the throttle a little bit down so we can lose some speed. We do need a bit of throttle as per the instructions. And then we're going to have to flare the front of the aircraft so that the rear wheel actually touches the ground. And that's maybe a little bit much, but it's not too bad. Let's see. How are the brakes? Not gonna tip us over, I don't think. We should be fine with these ones. If I put the flaps in, we're going to have a little bit more connection to the ground. And any moment now... Please. Come on. Now I'm wishing the brakes were a little bit better. Slow down. Come on. We can open the canopy while we wait. Look at that. Very cool. There we go. We've brought her to a stop. That was a much better landing than I did in the World War I aircraft. Thank you very much for your submission. Moving swiftly on. Next up, we have the Red Bullet, which is a ground effect aircraft similar to the fighter we saw in the last video, not in the way that it's designed. It's a ground effect aircraft. That's where the similarities pretty much end. Let me just clarify. Right. This is a racing aircraft, so we're not going to be shooting anything down. We don't have any missiles. Unfortunately, it has been said that this is for trained professionals, so I don't know if I should really be trusted to fly this, but we're going to do it anyway. Just before I forget, this is designed by You Gundam Knuckles. That's one of the usernames of all time. Thank you for burdening me with that one. Right. I have managed to stall out the engine already, so let's see. Can we get it to turn on? I'm stupid. I need to read the instructions. This is not a good start. Right. That key should turn on the engine. There we go. Right. There we go. We've got power. I just can't read. We need to Take off at 295 knots. I don't know how fast that is. Maintain a low altitude until you reach Mach 0.95. Let it go down in altitude and let go of the pitch control. You'll be in ground effects. Once you reach Mach 1, pull back to 80 to 85% throttle. Oh my gosh, there's so much. Also, we got a couple more controls that I probably should have shown before I took off. But, oh well, that's fine. We really need to be on our wits here. It's trying to kill me. We are slowly getting up to what 0.95 Mach, it said. We need to control our altitude until then, and then apparently it should do the rest for us. Come on, we're nearly there. Very nearly there. Okay, let go. Ooh, that got very low. I'm just trusting it. Okay, we've broken the sound barrier, so now we drop the throttle. There we go. That is the sound barrier. Wow. Okay. That is really cool. That's really cool. Yeah. How aggressively can we turn? Do we want to be less? I feel like I'm gaining a worrying amount of altitude. Careful that you don't hold it down too much. I might have held it down too much. We are turning, though, and I haven't crashed and died. Apparently, it can also crash the game, so I guess it's good that we haven't done that. We've got a quite long runway that we can play around with here. Are we still in the ground? Sorry, my words are literally... I don't know why, but ground effect aircraft, I just cannot comprehend for whatever reason. This thing looks really cool, by the way. This is very interesting. It kind of gives me a jet age version of those early Italian racing aircraft in that vibrant red that you saw, the seaplanes. That they were super cool, and I feel like it's a very similar energy in this thing here. We have got an interior going on. I feel like I want to bring it down a little bit. We are gaining quite a lot of altitude. Don't want to be too aggressive with it because I might just smash it into the ground and explode. But I believe in it. I believe that it won't do that. Yeah, there you go. We're fine. We do have a couple more controls, so we can press Z. That opens the canopy. That probably isn't the most comfortable at Mach 1, I can't lie, but yeah, let's just shut that. We also have a drag chute. Probably not a great idea to open right now. We have air brakes, a small hatch to reach the battery. Wow, that would probably not fill you with confidence if that opened while you were flying, but I guess it's better than the canopy opening. And we have up arrow, small trim that forces you back into the... It forces you back into the ground effect if you're starting to leave it. That sounds like what we've needed for a little while. Wow. Yeah, that is much more useful than doing what I was doing, which was basically just chucking it back into the ground effect like this. Yeah, there we go. That's a little bit better. I think holding up might be the order of the day, to be entirely honest. Right. We are going to hit these mountains fairly soon, and it's going to take a long time to turn around. Let's throttle down. We're going to do the air brakes with 3. There we go. Ooh, drag chute with K. That's probably a little bit too quick to activate that, realistically, but let's bring out the landing gear, and we're going to have a very aggressive landing. Yep. Oh, there goes the game. That teaches me right. You see, normally I'd have another go landing, but honestly, with an aircraft like this, it feels like it's one of those things that you'd look up on Wikipedia and it would say it went on one test flight, broke a speed record, and then crashed on landing and killed the pilot. So I think it's probably fitting that we crashed when we tried to land it. So I'm just going to leave it, and we're going to move on to our next design. But this is really cool. Thank you very much. I'm not reading your name again. Moving on. Next up, designed by Badfried, we have the MA-25 Strike Stinger, and this is a bit of a combination between Western and Eastern, I guess in the sense that Russian is Eastern in this case. flanker style design principles. We kind of have the front end of an F-18 and then the back end of a flanker with these massive haunches, kind of like the F-15 and the F-14. I like it a lot. I like this one. I really like this one. Normally I'm less of a modern jet person and more of like I like my props and stuff. I might have to make an exception for this one. Whoa. I don't know. Something about it just looks very, very nice. Anyway, that said, let's get it on the runway and see if it flies as nice. Maybe not until we've dropped some of this ordnance. That is a fair whack of ordnance there. Okie dokie. We're here on the runway and I'm holding the brakes. And as you can see, there's a very, very large air brake on the top of this. That is insanely large. That's something out of a Ace Combat design there. Goodness me. Anyway, my frame rate is a little bit struggling with this one. It's better than it used to be. If I had my old graphics card, I imagine we'd be struggling even more. But as you can see, we've got a canopy that can open and close. Oh, how do I... Okay, there we go. It has a bit of a delay on opening, it would seem. And I don't think there's too much else of note here. We do have an arresting hook, apparently, on the bottom. Oh, God. Oh, I'm taking off. I don't know where the arresting hook is. It says question mark for the control, which isn't that's on shift for my keyboard, so I don't know what control that is. We're just going to say that one works and move on. We have some lights as well. We can turn those on now, which are... There they are. I can just about see them there. And, oh, yeah, they're on the tail as well, I think. Or are they always on? I don't know. Let's just take the plane off. I'm just making myself look like a fool right now. There we go. We have landing gear doors, always nice to see. Ooh, so's the floor, apparently. I really like the floor. We have 2 AGM-65s, no heat seekers on this thing. Fair enough. So we've got 2, what are they? 2 missiles and 6 glide bombs, which we can drop with J. Does that drop all of them? Oh, goodness me. Yes, it does. Presumably, in real life, you'd have a computer to tell you where they're going to land. I don't know if we have one in here, to be entirely honest. It looks like it's doing things, but I imagine all of that is just aesthetic, if I had to guess. Yeah, so we're doing our flares here, and then when we go inside, yeah, the flare isn't counting up or down. So this is just stuff to make it look pretty, which is fine. It's a very nice looking interior. We are seriously quick. We're going 1.34 Mach, basically at sea level, which is not too bad at all. We also have drop tanks, which we can drop with one of the square brackets. There they go. And that's taken our fuel down to 2 minutes. Oh, God. Let's spawn in SAM, and let's go for that. Where is it? Where's the SAM? Where is it? It's not here. Oh, my goodness. Okay, it is a long, long way away. I shouldn't have taken those drop tanks off. It's a long way. Look at the underside of this. I really like the little subtleties. We got little louvers and stuff. I think they're decaled. Oh, no, there is actually some 3D-ness to them. I was going to say I think they're decaled on, but I'm wrong. So ignore me. Oh, that's a missile coming for me. I need to do something about that, don't I? Let's put the throttle on real quick and go for this kind of maneuver, maybe. Turning pretty hard, dropping all the flares. It has missed me. Those ones are going to space, so hopefully we're all good from that. Just making my pilot pass out real quick. And now we shouldn't lock onto the missiles anymore. We should actually be able to get a lock on the SAM. I wasn't paying any attention earlier, and that's why I nearly got hit by 1,000,000 missiles. I've just fired another AGM at my other AGM. That might not go well. Shall we put her in a harsh dive, and maybe that missile will hit the floor before it hits us? That would be nice. Maybe? I don't think it is. Let's start turning. Ooh, little bit too close for comfort. I think they only get 4 missiles, though, so we should... Oh, there's one of my bombs. I was going to say, have a look at this thing here and see what... The AGM's getting further away? Oh, it's getting further away from my aircraft. That would make a lot of sense. Okay, it is still on target. Let me follow it in. I think I just was watching the missile, turned back, and got hit by a missile. Damn. Guess I lost that engagement. Man, either one of those, but... Ooh. Ooh. Okay. Either one of those that we fired went into space and then came back down, or it did a full 180 and went back for my plane again, which would be quite impressive, to be entirely honest. There we go. The world's loading in again a little bit. That's nice, I suppose. Shall we drop these bombs again and the drop tanks, and we'll fire off these AGMs. Hopefully they don't kill us. There we go. Everything has been dropped. And I was specifically requested to land this and not crash it, which is easier said than done. Tell you what, we do actually have some... Ooh, Jesus, those are loud. We do have some internal 20 mils. So before we do that, let's go for a target drone. I didn't even think about doing it because it didn't have air-to-air missiles, but I suppose you don't need air-to-air missiles if you've got guns. I don't know what's going on the underside of this plane here, but I don't know. Looks cool. I could probably use the AGMs as air-to-air missiles, to be fair. But here we are, and we're closing in. Probably could hit him if I get my aim correct from this. Those are so loud. Come on. I think I've just overheated the guns. Darn it. Come on. Whoa, there we go. Over 1 kilometer. I think that might be the first time ever that I've killed something at over 1 kilometer in this game with guns. Let me just clarify. I'm very impressed with myself. I don't care if you are. I'm very impressed with myself, and that's all that matters. Okay, here we go. We're going to use our big old air brake and hopefully not make a complete mess of this landing. We're going a little bit quick, but that should be fine, maybe. Watch me absolutely nail this first time. First time, no problems. We're going to be good. There's still quite a lot of idle throttle going on, so we are gliding quite efficiently. We need to just bring her down. There we go. Not too bad. And bring the flaps in. Yeah? That was maybe a little bit rough, but safe. There we go. Flawless landing. You should have never doubted me, Badfried. Thank you very much for the submission. I really like it. Let's move on. And finally for today, designed by Ashen Imperium, we have the RMI 6A2, which is a fictional aircraft designed to break the Hungarian reliance on German designs. So, I mean, I believe they're using an inverted V, which is presumably a Daimler-Benz engine. So perhaps they've not succeeded there entirely, but we are brimming with guns on this thing. We have 4 15mm MG151s, 2 20mm MG151s, and 1 30mm MK108, which is a very, very large amount of cannons in this thing. And weirdly, a 3... Oh, no, it's not a 3-bladed propeller. Sorry, that looks like it's 6 blades. What's going on here? Shall we have a look at what's happening once we get onto the runway? That might give us a better idea. Something tells me I might benefit from restarting my flyout. Okay. I think I might be missing a mod somewhere, so you're just going to have to not worry about that propeller. Sure. Apparently takeoff is weird. I mean, it's already a little bit weird given the propeller, but we're just going to go for it. I don't see the mod linked in the message, so I don't know what mod I'm missing. Apparently, it's very prone to tip stalling, which, yep, I would say I've noticed that one. And there goes the tip. I mean, surely it can't stall anymore, right? Oh, my. This isn't looking good. Oh. Here we go again for take 2. The world has disappeared. We're having a weird one today, aren't we? I'm going to try with a lot more flaps. That might just help us get off the ground a little bit easier. There we go. Okay, bring the flaps back in. Let's... No, not your roll. There we go. Bring the trim in a little bit. Gears. We've got custom gear bay doors. Really weird to have a tricycle landing gear on a plane like this. Very weird, but okay, fair enough. If that's how it is, it felt pretty stable on the ground other than the tip stalling, so I can't say that I disagree with the choice. I do love a good tricycle landing gear. I don't know where you've managed to find the space to fit in. I guess that does fit below the engine. Fair enough. I imagine there might be some complaints from the engineering department about managing to fit the cooling around that, but oh well. To be fair, the engineering department's been working miracles with having a plane fly without the propellers spinning, so I guess I can't really say anything. And here is the interior. We got some fancy looking lines, some gauges that seem to work. That looks like a custom gauge, if you had to ask me. And I believe a couple bits in here might also be broken because I think it looked like the mod that I don't have did some interior stuff as well. So something along the way is not working. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that is just how it's meant to look. I can't imagine it is. Shall we have a listen to this thing's teeth? Because it's got a lot of guns, and I'm imagining this is about to be quite loud. Actually, no. I am genuinely quite surprised by that. That is an insane amount of firepower. That would be, especially in an aircraft this agile and this fast, this is definitely something that would be very effective if it could be built in real life. I'm imagining these are some big drum mags for the... Oh no, that's where the wheels go. Okay, these are some very, very thin wings then. Yeah, they're very, very 109 in how thin they are. That's kind of interesting. You don't see that very often. But yeah, it is quite 109 with the canopy kind of... I don't even know why it isn't 109. It's kind of like if you combined a 109 with a yak in some ways, which I guess makes sense given Hungary, because they might, I don't know, maybe they talk to... It looks a little bit like an Icarus, I guess, so maybe they talk to Yugoslavia. They probably wouldn't talk to Yugoslavia. They're on other sides of a war, so maybe I'm just making things up at this point. But yeah, I do very much like the look of this aircraft. It is a little bit... The turn rate is just about on the limit of what it can do. So when you're in the right range, it does become a little bit stally when you actually put on a full turn. Like there, you can see we're getting a lot of rolls being put in just from stalling the wings when we do a really harsh turn. We'll see if we can land it. It might be a challenge given its tendency to tip stall, but hopefully we should be okay. And then I can show off. I forgot to open the canopy, so I need to land to show that off as well. Let's bring out the flaps a little bit, and the landing gear are coming back out. There we go. I confused the gear bay doors a bit earlier, so that's what it's meant to look like when you extend your gear again, when you don't accidentally hit G and then immediately hit it again. Got to remember we do have a tricycle, which feels a bit weird. Definitely feels like it should be a nose dragger, but sorry, a tail dragger. But it isn't, so I'm pleasant. I can just slam the brakes on. I do prefer tricycle landing gears. It does feel like it would be quite front heavy here, though. With that is very, very odd looking, but oh well. We have landed quite safely as well, and I very much like this aircraft. Thank you very much for the submission, Ashen Imperium. That is all of our designs for today. If you do have any designs that you would like to submit to get into another episode of this series, then you can join my Discord, linked in the description below, and leave them in the Submit Your Flyout Creations Here channel. I just went on like a rant for like 30 seconds that was just all complete nonsense, so I'm just probably going to cut that out. That's all for today, everyone. Thank you for watching. I'm slightly losing my mind. Goodbye. And as always, a huge thank you to YouTube super supporters, the OO in question, Marlon Doykin, Demonicus, Kylo Raleigh, Yang, Craig Young, Frankie Fruit, Carl Williams, Ultimus, Texas Heathen, Neanter, Well 200, Stuart Old, Peyton Phillips, Remove Claw, Black Eye Machine, Specs, Mogius, Rando Bro, USB-C Cable, The Striker MGS, The Cheeser, Oreo, Azrael, Darkos, LeBlack, Cody Fox, Yoki, Dougie Yacht, Shtug3, Harrison Parker, Semtex Agoon, Tangerine Flugel, Peter Holmes, The Canesian Emperor, Peter Seafort, Camjam135, and Terra.